I don't know, guys. Jalen Ramsey coming to the Rams, it seems unlikely. I mean, about as likely as Machine Gun Kelly releasing a pop-punk song Dancing in a Car Wash in 2025.
It sounds cliché, but tell me, would you wait for me?
Okay, well, if that's the case, let's see what Coach Sean McVay had to say about the Rams trading for Jalen Ramsey when asked in his press conference.
Jalen Ramsey.
Oh yeah, we would never close out those opportunities.
What can you give us an update on what the status is? I mean, there's that June 1st date that's approaching.
You and I both know that's not a real date, though.
Okay.
I mean, no. Here's what I would say. There's not a whole lot that I have to offer. There's a lot of layers with something of that magnitude when you're talking about the caliber of the player, all right, the compensation that they're looking for in return. What does that look like in terms of how they want to handle what he's actually due? Obviously, we love Jalen. We know Jalen intimately. There would be some things that we would need to be able to do if that was going to be a direction that we went. We certainly haven't closed the door on that, but there hasn't been a whole lot of dialogue as of late, in regards to some of the communication. And so we'll see if that changes, but these things can happen quickly, but it's really kind of same as what it was a couple weeks ago.
So he didn't say no. He didn't say no. He didn't say yes, but he didn't say no. I personally think, this is my own opinion and belief, let me know if you disagree in the comments below. I think the Rams are definitely one of the teams that have been talking to the Dolphins. There's no doubt in that. However, what the Dolphins are hoping for is a team to take on the majority of Jalen Ramsey's contract, which the Rams don't really want to do. And then you heard the leaks about Jalen Ramsey's trade market being a little larger than what was anticipated. Maybe that factors into it. Maybe that's why a trade like this has taken a long time to get dealt with. And I've seen a lot of people say, like, oh, you got to wait till the June 1st deadline and things like that. But Sean McVay in that clip right there even addressed that date really doesn't mean anything because you can make a trade with a post-June 1 designation to it. But let's hear Sean McVay talk a little bit about a little bit more. He was asked a little bit more about this potential trade for Jalen Ramsey.
There really hasn't been any meaningful, tangible dialogue as of late, but that can always change, pretty quickly, as you know.
And if you can't add Jalen for whatever reason, would you want to add the secondary anyway?
No, I feel good about where we're at. Obviously Jalen's a unique deal, but I really like, and I think we all feel this way, in terms of the guys that have played. We've gotten a lot of guys that have played meaningful ball at the corner position, at the safety. We've got some different guys that can flex between safety, dime linebacker, the nickel star spot. And so I think that the way that guys will approach, similar to Jordan's question, Greg, there's a lot of young guys, or maybe even guys that maybe are new to the Rams but have accumulated a bunch of experience that I think are only going to continue to take steps. I think when you really look at it, I thought that Kobe Durant took amazing strides last year. Obviously, Ahkello Witherspoon played great. I think him being here in the offseason is a big deal. Darius Williams, has been an excellent player for us. I don't think anybody can minimize, that hamstring injury that he had to, work through in the early parts of the year. And then it was great to see Darian Kendrick out here, and Emmanuel Forbes made a play. So, there's a handful of guys. I saw Sean Jolly get in on a pick today. So I do feel really good about the development of that group led by Aubrey Pleasant, Chris Beek, and Mike Harris.
At one point, I was like, oh yeah, guaranteed this is happening. Coming back to the Rams, Ramsey, homecoming, let's go. But then as the time went on and things kind of progressed past the draft and things like that, I kind of got to the point where I was like, you know what, maybe this is more of like a 50-50 thing to as low as 30% chance this happens, by my own opinion. I think right now, though, I'm at the point where I agree with Sean McVay. I do like what this group brings. I know that this is a very criticized secondary unit. And recently on the Athletic football show, they actually they dug into the Rams secondary a lot. Check out this clip.
This was one of the worst secondaries in the league last year, and even if they get Ramsey, I expect that to continue to be the case.
I'm not sure I would go that far. I don't think they're good, but I think they can be passable given what the front is, especially if Ramsey is in the fold at some point here soon.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but the secondary unit as an individual unit is one of the worst in the league. And if we can maybe say that the front will maybe lift them a little bit, but like
you really think that's true?
Yes.
If Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams are outside corners, Cam Curl is still there, Cam Kitchen's coming into year 2, Quentin Lake is like a serviceable nickel. I don't think it's an abomination. I don't think it's great. But if the front can be dominant, I think that side of that unit specifically can lift its share of things for this team and get them where they want to go. I do believe that. I think it can be good enough based on the potential upside of the front. And now I think that group is even better because you have Poona Ford in the mix to kind of be that nose tackle next to everything else. So I get what you're saying, and I think that the corner spot, the other outside corner spot, maybe that's part of my thinking here, is that that's the thing I had the most concern about. And so if they do the Ramsey thing, it assuages my concern to a point where I'm like, all right, the thing I was most worried about, you've addressed it. So now I feel a little bit better than I was going to feel.
Maybe I do think that getting Ramsey there is going to solve a lot, at least in year 1. Obviously, he's getting a little bit older, but I think I just don't love the rest of the role players in the secondary maybe as much as you do. And maybe I'm underrating.
I don't love them, to be clear. Passable is the word that I used.
See, but I guess that's where I struggle, is just that I think when you're shooting for passable, I just feel like you leave yourself open for a lot of things to go wrong, potentially. And
You
Darius
can't have
Williams,
everything, though.
I know. Darius Williams is 32, man. Like, Jalen Ramsey is going to be over 30. Like, this is just, Cam Curl isn't necessarily a young guy. Like, I don't know. It feels like they're trying to thread a needle here.
I think that's true, but I also think that's just kind of where this team is right now.
Now, I appreciate perspectives like these because they're unlike my own and they challenge me, and I appreciate hearing opinions that are unlike my own. I do believe these folks here at the Athletic Football Show are missing a point here. They may be talking from a statistical perspective or a rankings perspective, to which the Rams secondary didn't do so hot last year. And yes, if you look, especially at the first half of the season, they had their lowlights, absolutely. But I do think they're missing the point of what is a standard in a Coach Sean McVay team, is being a situational master, to which I think the Rams actually got really good at towards the end of the year. This secondary made some clutch plays when they needed to, right? And you think of, like, look at some of these guys. They didn't mention Cam Kitchens, who had a phenomenal year last year, and I think the ceiling is very high for him. Cam Curl, he was a free agent signing last year. I don't think he is someone that I'm worried about if he's out there on the field. Darius Williams, Sean McVay mentioned in his presser, he was battling a hamstring injury. The hope is that he's recovered well from that. And all signs that we've seen is that that's the truth. I think he's poised for a bounce back year. And Akella Weatherspoon, someone who has been a contributor for this Rams team numerous times, even though it's kind of been a weird kind of almost like a bounty hunter sort of way. But I really like what Akella Weatherspoon brings to this team. Jaren Kendrick is a concern. He was injured last year in training camp. Will he come back, bounce back, and have a good year? Only time will tell. And I'm going to give a shout out to someone that Sean McVay mentioned. He mentioned Jalen McCullen. He mentioned Kobe Durant. And he even mentioned Emmanuel Forbes, who the Rams acquired off waivers last year. Forbes was a first-round pick with Washington and didn't go well there. He's got those dangly, lengthy arms. If he can have a good offseason, I think Emmanuel Forbes could turn into something. I don't think it's a mistake that the Rams picked him up off of waivers, and I don't think it's a mistake that he's still with the teams. He is one of my players that I'm absolutely watching for in this Rams training camp. I probably, in my list of players that I'm most excited to see play in the preseason, Emmanuel Forbes is close to the top, if not at the top of that list. Sean McVay also mentioned Sean Jolly getting a pick in practice, this week. So my point is, and I wouldn't even talk about Quentin Lake there, who I do think is an underrated safety. I do think that with this front four, this D-line being as dominant as it can be, that will help the secondary this year. And I also just think having, a healthier secondary this year, right? And that's key, right? So health is wealth, as they say. Health is wealth. And I think that that's the most important thing when it comes to looking at the Rams 2024 season, is that they had a secondary that was not healthy, and that though statistically they did suffer, situationally towards the end of the year, they were a valuable asset to this Rams team. And I think that they can be that in 2025. I think that they can, generate turnovers. I think that it's going to be one of those things that there will be some games where, they give up a big play here and there, things like that. That happens in the NFL. But I also think they're the ones that are going to make some of these big plays. I fully expect Cameron Kitchens to have a big year next year. I think Quentin Lake is going to have a big year next year. I'm really excited to see the potential of Emmanuel Forbes and if he can realize that potential. All that being said, do the Rams need Jalen Ramsey? I don't think they do. I agree with Sean McVay. I think that they have a good balance of veteran talent and young players ready to take that leap and elevate their game. But at the same time, if they were to trade to get Jalen Ramsey, I think they go from good to great. That's my opinion. I want to hear yours. If it's different from mine, of course I want to hear it. If it's the same as mine, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it, especially if you watched all the way to the end of the video. If you're new here, please introduce yourself. I'd love to say hello in the comments below. As always, go Rams, horns up, and peace out. Let's go Rams.